Hello, hello, hello. Okay, all right. Let me see what's going on. Sorry about that. Okay, it says I'm back. Cool. All right. Apologize about that. Looks like we got the audio going. All right. So I'll just back up a little bit in case the audio wasn't working, which I apologize about that. So the focus needs to be on creating a business, having your business brand, and having your personal brand completely separate from everything that you're doing when it comes to getting people to know, like, and trust you. And business is temporary, right? Like a specific business might be temporary. It might serve a purpose to get you to that next level, wherever it is that you're trying to go. And so this business right now, if you are, hey, this is my business today, and you put all of your branding, you put all of your content, you put all of those things in that basket, and then you decide to rebrand. So Tannen's on here. I know Tannen just did a rebrand. Congrats on the rebrand, man. Love the new brand. Looking forward to our podcast as well on Thursday this week. But that's a good example, as if, like, hey, I am Starseed Productions, or I am Adams whatever, and something happens to that, and I don't have the personal brand to go along with that, then you feel a little bit lost. You're trying to find your new identity. You're trying to find all these things. If you go and sell a business, if you're like, hey, I'm going to go sell this business, or I want to start doing consulting and coaching, I want to get equity in other companies, I want to speak on stage, I want to start my own podcast, but all you have is everything behind the business brand, then it doesn't give you the same like flavor. It doesn't give you the same feel as if you're like, okay, no, I am Adam the entrepreneur. That, yes, I have Height Digital, but I also have Builders of Authority. I also coach and consult. I have my own podcast. Those things stand alone in and of itself, because at the top of the funnel, I have the Adam McChesney personal brand. That Adam McChesney of the personal brand gets a bunch of people interested in wanting to do something with Adam McChesney, even if it's just supporting, because they know, they like, and they trust me, right? And so you're really setting yourself up for success long term, because if something happens to your business, you decide to sell it, shut it down, rebrand, do all of those things, and you were consumed as this is who I was, then it can feel really unfulfilled on the other end of being like, man, I don't know who it is that I am as the person, right? The personal brand, but the person behind the personal brand is that thing that can have you looking as the authority in your specific industry. So for me, and I'll just use this as a case study and as an example, but like when I got started in digital marketing, I tried all the typical, hey, this is my agency brand. And I started to try to like run ads. I started to do all that stuff, which, obviously that stuff works, right? But when you're doing it behind the brand, it's different when you're doing it behind the person. People do business with people that they know, they like, and they trust, right? So it doesn't really matter what like my agency name was or all those things. Like they wanted to do business with Adam. So it feeds back into the business. But I did my content. I've posted now multiple times a day on social media for almost 3.5 years, not because I, in the beginning, wanted to build this incredible personal brand, but I wanted to differentiate myself from other digital marketers that were out there that typically just try to show up and throw up, and they try to sell, and they try to pitch you, and they cold DM through the business page. They'll cold call you, cold email, all those things. I wanted to be looked at a little bit differently. And the way that I wanted to be looked at a little bit differently was I wanted to provide education. I wanted to provide value. I wanted to provide motivation, discipline, all of those things through a different lens that most people, when they think of digital marketers or they're connected with digital marketers on social media, they're not necessarily accustomed to. They're accustomed to the cold DMs. They're accustomed to the cold pitchings and all of those types of things. As a result, what did I end up doing is over the next 3.5 years, I built a multi-million-dollar agency from the sheer fact that I decided that I was going to go all in on giving back and providing value and showing up each and every single day. And in that, I started a podcast that has, as of today, almost 100 episodes going out. The 100th episode will go out in late February. I have almost 400 different videos out on YouTube, whether it's the weekly videos that I do twice a week or the YouTube shorts. I've been a guest on over 200 podcasts. I've posted all over LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all of those different places, TikTok. And people go to these different platforms and they see something from me by design. But it's not, hey, come sign up for my stuff. Now there are, obviously offers and things like that I have out there, but that's like less than 5% of the time. My goal is just to be connected with people that will eventually do business with me. I typically will have somebody watch my content for 3 or 6 months at minimum before signing up with me in some sort of fashion, whether it's Builders of Authority or Hype Digital. I've had people that have watched me for years before finally becoming a client. I'm playing the long game with all of this stuff, not the short game. And so when you're thinking about the importance of your personal brand versus your business, the short game is, okay, I'm just going to go post all the things on social media behind my business brand, and I'm not going to touch my personal brand, because if I can just get some business here with my business, that's all that I really need. But again, it goes into that bigger picture of like, what does the next 3 to 5 years look like? A lot of people that I'm talking to that are in our program, what they're looking for is they're like, Adam, I have another business idea. And I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. I don't know where the audio cut off. So if you hear me talk about these things twice, that's why. But hey, I have another business idea, or I want to coach, I want to consult, or I just don't want to be looked at as Adam the technician or Adam the digital marketer or Adam the photographer. I want to be looked at as an entrepreneur that can speak on stage, that can be a guest on podcasts, but more importantly, people come to me each and every single day, multiple times a day, and they come for advice, they come for a connection, they come for authority, or they want to support. My goal is not that every single person, although it would be nice, every single person that I ever come in contact with that ever reaches out to me that does business directly with me, but I can't help a lot of people that are out there for one reason or another. It's just not possible. But if I can be of value and I can be a resource when somebody says, hey, Adam, who do you know that's an accountant? Who do you know that can do X, Y, and Z? If I can't help that person, I absolutely know somebody in my network that can, 99.9% of the time. But because I'm that valued person in their world, in their sphere, I then am able to connect people in my network and take things to the absolute next level. I'm that stickiness when people are looking to support, right? And so they might not be interested in working with me, or they can't work with me. But when I connect them or I send them business, they are so much more likely to send me stuff back tenfold. And that's how it's absolutely gone. I would sit on social media when I would do that and I was getting no business. And I'd be like, okay, this person's looking for a tree service guy. Here's my tree service buddy. This person's looking for X, Y, and Z, a coach, whatever. And I'd be like, hey, meet so-and-so. You guys would absolutely hit it off. So then I started being a connector of people and giving back in ways that I had no idea how this was going to pay off for me. But again, I was playing the long game with all of this stuff. So if you're trying to build that personal brand because you're like, hey, I want to speak on stages in 2024. I want to start my podcast, but I also want to eventually sell my business, or I want my business to run without me. If you don't create your personal brand and you don't have that separate from your business, it doesn't matter if your business can run without you, but you're always going to be maybe the lead generator in the business. You're always going to be something that is required in order for that business to grow, right? But if you open up this new identity and you start to do Facebook Lives and you start to post all the time on social media, other people will do that work for you. I get tagged. I get 2 to 3 leads a day at minimum from social media. And it has nothing to do with like me going and DMing people. It's people reaching out to me. It's people commenting on my stuff, But a lot of times it's a DM, a connected group DM from somebody else that's like, hey, Adam, meet so-and-so. They're looking for X, Y, and Z, and you're the guy that we want to refer to. We know that you do great things. And then they send me over the lead. Or somebody makes a post in a private Facebook group or on their Facebook wall, and they're like, hey, I'm looking for somebody in digital marketing or personal branding or X, Y, and Z, and I get tagged, right? And usually I will get tagged multiple times. So other people are building my authority without me actually having to do it. So regardless of nothing else, right? Regardless of nothing else, if you don't want to have this massive personal brand, you're like, Adam, I don't want to be speaking on stages. I don't want to do a podcast. I could care less about all that stuff. At bare minimum, by you posting and being a person of influence and a person of authority that people can then go and tag, and people can get into your universe and understand who you are as a person, it will then open up so many doors just for your business. If you're like, Adam, this has been my family company. I'm definitely not going to sell. I'm not going to do all these things. If anything, I'm going to pass it obviously down to my kids, next generation, all those things. Well, you could pass that off to them with so much more credibility in your local market. If you're a local business and everybody in the local Facebook groups, they tag Adam's company time and time again. Well, it's great when they tag the company, but it's even cooler when they'll tag me specifically, right? Because it shows the authority that I built, but then people will follow me on social media. People will then ask to be a friend or any of those types of things. And then they can truly see who I am. Because the one thing that will differentiate yourself more than anything else, businesses, of course, are so unique, but there's so many different factors, right? So if you're looking at like comparing 3 different businesses and you're like, okay, they all offer a little bit of this, their logo's this, their brand promises this, their core values are this. Yes, there's so many different things, but it's much easier for people to compare 3 individual people than it is 3 individual businesses. Because there's not all the there's factors, right? But like, it's easier for somebody to sift through all of that and see truly who somebody is versus going to a social media page that like might have, somebody else writing the content, stock photos, all of those other things, which is a completely different conversation. But it breaks down the walls, right? And all of this is like, how do I get people to know, like, and trust me? How do I get people to understand who Adam is as an entrepreneur, right? And I don't even talk about digital marketing a whole lot on my Facebook and my LinkedIn and my Instagram and all those things. I do it a lot in video. And I'll do it sometimes about 10% of my overall posts when it comes specifically to written content. But you just need people to get engaged, right? You need people to get engaged. You need to break down those walls. And then they go to my profile and they're like, oh, Adam is at High Digital. Adam is a speaker. Adam has this Builders of Authority thing. Okay, well, that's kind of cool. I'm interested. I want to know a little bit more about all that stuff versus, hey, here's digital marketing. Buy my stuff. It's a completely different psychological process for your ideal clients. So if you're listening, please be sure to ask questions. More than happy to answer anything that you all have. We have about 10 people on right now. Looks like it's gone between 5 and 10. So appreciate the support. Again, we're going to be doing this live every single Tuesday. Typically, it's going to be at 3 p.m. Central Time for about 30 to 45 minutes. We'll do a training. We'll also do some Q&A when we have questions pop in as well. I apologize. It looks like the beginning of this, maybe the first 5 to 10 minutes might have got cut off. Can't hear me on audio, I think, based on what I'm hearing. So, again, if you're hearing this stuff back, that's why. And also, if you've heard me talk about some things more than once, that's why as well. But so I'll finish up with this. If we don't have any more questions or anything like that, I'll finish up with this. So if you are solely focused in 2024, you're like, Adam, in 2024, I want to make a conscious effort to do all these things. I will give you the playbook right now for what I'm walking through my mastermind clients with right now. So all of our mastermind clients this week have been hopping on one-to-one calls with me. What we're going through is we're going through a 2024 plan and a 3 to 5 year plan. And this is why these things are so important understand the importance of the business brand and of the personal brand. I'm saying, hey, what are your goals in 2024 for the business? And then what are your goals in the next 3 to 5 years? Everybody's super, super dialed in on, hey, my business looks like this in 2024 for the most part, right? And in 3 to 5 years, this is what the business looks like, but I'm looking to potentially sell it. I'm looking to bring on an operator. I'm looking to remove myself fully from the day-to-day. I'm looking at now becoming X, Y, and Z. You want to make sure you know what the next 3 to 5 years in theory looks like, at least have a plan that you can go attack. And then we're doing the same thing for the personal brand, right? So as you put out more content on your personal pages, as you start the podcast or take your podcast to the next level, as you speak on stage or build your own stage, your business will indirectly grow because more people are going to know about you. And specifically on Facebook, because that's the platform that like really drove most of our growth, people don't always love to see business posts. They don't love seeing ads. They love to see other human beings just like them who they have common interests with, seeing and doing amazing, amazing things and seeing them grow and seeing how they can support them. I made a post the other day. It's like, be so consistent with your stuff, provide so much value, make your free stuff so good that people who are watching you can't help but want to support you. That's what this is all about. But we're going over the 2024 personal brand plans, and then we're going over the 3 to 5 years. I'll tell you consistently, most of our students, most of the people that I'm talking with, there's a lot of inconsistency that's out there. And that's totally fine, right? Totally fine. But we're looking at what I'm doing, right? So we're like 3 posts a day, 3 reels a day, 2 YouTube videos a week, a podcast every Thursday, Facebook Live a couple times a week, like all of those things. We're not trying to run and sprint to what I've done over the last 3.5 years. We are using stepping stones in order to get there off the baseline of where things are at today. So 2024 is like, hey, I just want to start my podcast, or I want to start being a guest on podcasts, or I just want to start posting more consistently. In 3 to 5 years, I would love to write my own book. I would love to throw my own events. I would love to speak on 5 stages in 2025. Like, those are the types of things that we're walking through and doing. So an exercise for you all is understand what you're trying to do in business in 2024 and the next 3 to 5 years, at least high level. Do the same thing with your personal brand. These things are going to feed into each other 100% when you're consistent with both and you have a goal and you have a vision of where you're trying to go. And then we're taking a look at the baseline. So I'm walking through, hey, how many times are you posting right now, whether it's per day or per week on Facebook? Same thing with Instagram. Same thing with LinkedIn. Okay, great. You're doing once a week right now on Facebook. How can we get to 3 times a week over the next 2 weeks? Then how can we get to once a day after that? Okay, great. You're not posting any reels right now. Let's not try to post 3 reels a week right now or 3 reels a day. Let's post 1 reel every other day or once a week just to get started. You have never been a guest on a podcast, or you're a guest, you've been a guest on your first podcast as of a couple of weeks ago. Great. Let's try to do 2 per month, but commit to something. I've been seeing all of these people that are in our mastermind, been connected with most of them for at least 6 months, some of them up to 3 years. And there's so much good. There's so much amazing, amazing things that they have to give to the world, that they have to give to their audiences. But they're hiding behind something. But most of it comes down to is that they've never actually committed to saying, hey, I'm going to do this for myself. They've said, I'm going to do this for my business. Well, as much as you love your business, all of those things, something could happen to your business. And if you're tied up and something happens to the business, whether good or bad, right? And then you find yourself where the business isn't so reliant on you, you lose your identity. You don't want that to happen, because this entire time you could have been building the personal brand. You could have been doing all those things. You could have been putting yourself in a position. So when that happens, you are ahead of the curve, right? So do an audit, do a check, a baseline check of where you're at. Take a look at how much you're posting, whether it's once a day, once a week, all those things. Break it down by platform. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all those types of things. Then take a look at Reels. Reel content is huge right now. Huge right now. Take a look at how many you're doing. Take a look at, if you have a podcast, how many episodes you're launching per week. If you're a guest on podcasts, take a look at how many guests you're a podcast of, or how many podcasts you're a guest of in a month's time frame, for example. Take a look at how many YouTube videos you're doing. And then say, what could I be doing more? I am a huge fan of Ed Milet. So for a lot of our students, I'm just like, hey, how could you do one more? Just push it to one more. Push the envelope one more thing further this week. Make it one thing better. I would encourage you to get that baseline and then to figure out how you can do more, right? And we're not looking for perfection right now. So every student that I've talked to so far, I'm not trying to be like, hey, this is how you write the post. This is exactly what you do. No, we're looking for the repetition. Success doesn't happen overnight. Greatness, perfection, all of those things aren't going to happen, right? Especially overnight. So how can you at least just get the activity going that I'm going to do more of this? And then a couple weeks from now, we're going to get together and be like, okay, all right. So you got the activity down. What was the engagement? What were the results? What were the feedback? What were the DMs like? How's business going? Directly correlated with that. When more and more people see who you are, it's the top of mind thing, right? So it's not that people don't know who Hite Digital is, because they absolutely do. But when people see me out there, out and about, they'll see me at an event, they'll see me speak on somebody's podcast, they'll see me do this live, they'll see me launch Builders of Authority, and my stuff pops up there. It's like the top of mind thing. Is Hite Digital the best and most amazing marketing agency that's out there? I absolutely believe so. 100% I believe so. But I know that there's probably people out there that do it better, faster, stronger, all of those things. But people will work with us because they know, like, and they trust me. And they trust my team because I've morphed my content into talking about our team and all the amazing things that we're doing and all those things. But I'm top of mind, right? They see me everywhere. I've given so much to them indirectly that they want to support me back. They want to tag their friends. They want to tell their friends about what I'm doing, right? We want to get you there as well. So make sure you're taking a look at where you're at today in the business, in the personal brand, where you're trying to go in 2024 and the next 2 to 3 years. And take a look at a baseline of, hey, I'm doing this right now, but how can I do more? How can I do more, right? One of the things I also gave them is a content calendar, and that's what we're going to be going over next week in next week's training, is actually the content calendar behind all of this. So you're like, hey, Adam, this is amazing. I have so many ideas of what I want to talk about and all these incredible things, but how do I keep track of it all? I'm not talking about a calendar or a scheduler where it automatically like posts to these platforms for you. No, I'm talking about a simple Google Sheet that will literally walk you through and make sure you're staying on point and following the game plan. I do this every single Sunday. I make sure that I have the content that I'm going to post out for the week. So I'm not sitting there on Tuesday morning like, oh my gosh, what is it that I'm going to post? I already know what I'm posting on Friday afternoon. I already know the meme that I'm going to do on Saturday. Those are the types of things that will make this journey easier for you. Things that I didn't have up until probably 6 months ago. I wung it for almost 3 straight years. This just goes to show you can do these things and be very, very successful with discipline and consistency. You don't have to have the latest and greatest of all of this stuff in order to get there. You just have to have the ability and the want to behind making this a priority, right? You're not going to just overnight see all the success, but consistency over time, it will dramatically impact your business and your personal brand. So thank you all for watching today's video. Doesn't look like we have any questions here today, but if there's anything that I can do to help, again, be sure to join our Builders of Authority private Facebook group. We're going to be going live just in there. So right now I'm doing lives a little bit everywhere, so that way we can get this out to more people, but we're eventually going to be closing that down, and only the lives are going to be there over the next couple of weeks. So make sure that you join the group, and if you have any questions or if I can be of support, just let me know. Thanks again.